I had two internships during my undergraduate. I interned with Lima Memorial Health Systems in Lima, Ohio, as a writing intern in the Marketing and Public Relations Department. Then I also interned with Repromax Corporation out of St. Louis. They are a color reprographics affinity group and also software developer. The one at Lima Memorial was, my favorite part of that was simply being able to see what it was like in a working office. It was actually I'd only had one semester as a public relations student by that stage, so I'd only taken news writing. I hadn't even taken a public relations class, so I knew nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was really just about, learning. It was about what can I get from this experience to fill in the knowledge that I really didn't even have. With the company in St. Louis, my favorite part was actually being able to work independently. I did it online, which was interesting because they were in St. Louis. I was studying at the time, so they allowed me to work on projects digitally. I was able to I was in communication through various social media. I tweeted at my supervisor. We emailed. We called. We texted. So it was really interesting to have that dynamic as opposed to the in-person, in the office internship I'd done the year previously. But the projects that I was able to work on were fabulous, so it was really great. Some of the interpersonal things that I had to deal with during my first internship in particular were quite challenging. The strong personalities in the office. I didn't know anything, so I think I hounded them quite a bit on how do I write this? What do you mean when you say write me a feature story highlighting certain elements of the pathology lab? So in that was a bit tough. I wrote articles, I did interviews, I made calls. I did research. I went up into different departments in the hospital. I did interviews with the people who, they were very gracious, but trying to understand medical lingo was a big part of the learning curve in that internship. I also actually redid their media guide and experts guide. So it was essentially a book that the hospital system had together of all the doctors, physicians, specialists who could speak on a certain topic. So you would send it to the news station and they would be able to look through and say, okay, here's a doctor who can speak on diabetes, who could speak on cancer, a particular type of cancer. So then they would call us and be able to request a specific doctor that they wanted to talk to. So I helped to redesign that booklet, put that together. For my internship with Repromax, I helped to plan a conference. I also did quite a bit of writing for their internship, and then I actually was able to wrap my internship into my senior project, my capstone project. So I started off, they really just wanted to know how did people communicate with them within their affinity group, because they have members around the world and across, throughout the country. They wanted to know how their members of their group communicated with them and if their communication out was being as effective as it could be. So that grew into a full-on communication audit that I was able to do for the company. So and that was a really fascinating. It involved a lot of research, interviews. I did studies on their communication, analyzed their emails. It was pretty intense. I was able to add to my portfolio. I had pieces that I knew that I could say that I had done, that in some cases had been published, that I was able to give to a company that they were able to use. In the case of Repromax, I gave them a report on their members and on their communication. They were able to use elements of that to become a better company. So my internships were great on a number of levels, but what I particularly took away from it was what I was able to put into my portfolio. And then, yes, it helped that when I got my current job, I was able to show that I could do a variety of writing. AP style, I could do more of a medical journal style, I could write tech columns, I could do a number of things. Do not walk into an internship thinking you know everything. You are there to make the most of it, do with it what you can, be helpful, be ready to assist with whatever you're there to learn, and just be a little humble. Go in with a good attitude, helpful smile, and it will be a much better relationship between you and the people you're interning with. I like to see a certain level of competence, and even if the skill set isn't there, just a willingness to take notes and to be really dedicated to learning what needs to be learned. I've had some interns that I've worked with that they didn't bring a notebook, they didn't bring their notes back when they came to work with me again. I had to reteach them everything. They really didn't, they just seemed to not particularly care that they were there, and it was disturbing to me that you're here to learn, and I can give you information, but they didn't seem to be particularly interested in it. So that was challenging. I think interns should know a little bit more than you'd think about what the organization does, a little bit of how it works, and technical knowledge. Just, I think I would, for most students, they're going to be doing their internships in their junior and senior years, so they do have some background. But just educate yourself. Take the time. If it's in news, if it's in public relations, you're working graphic design, your web design, whatever it is, have some knowledge that will make you useful. That's really, intern. It's definitely a cooperative relationship. The intern is there to get information, get knowledge, experience, and you want to be somewhat useful to the people that you're interning with.